On Orlando Pirates side, another 0-0. It was Easter eggs galore this weekend. Maqanda ngapha, maqanda ngalena. And there were no goals, right, Chuck? Meaning that none of the strikers delivered quite to what you would think is their first job or not. And Mabasa started the game against Pyramids, but then Makgopa came off the bench to finish that game. And we've seen them interchange in the Pirates side this entire season. And Pirates fans are divided in terms of, should it be Mabasa? Was he supposed to be taken off? Should it be Makgopa? Should he have started the match? And I'll ask you the question, Chuck. When you compare the two strikers that Orlando Pirates have, both of them are nationally capped, right? You've got Mabasa with 13 goals in 39 appearances this season. You've got Makgopa with 8 goals in 35 games this season. One of them, Mabasa, is more a box predator. And the other one, Makgopa, is, he links up the play as well. Who do you think is best suited for Orlando Pirates going into that second leg and with everything that's still in front of Orlando Pirates possibly this season and beyond? Mabasa or Makgopa?
I think you've made it easy by saying this second leg specifically. And I say Makgopa. Because I've seen Rivero in games where I'm like, why are you starting with Makgopa? In the tight games, where it's the semis or in the finals, where we're playing away, Makgopa's been the guy that he's gone to more often than not. And then it's yielded fruit. And I say that because, Jay, the fans are divided because their deficiencies are so glaring and they're so different because, as you said,
and
one
they
is
are
very
so
good.
different, right?
Because
really the one lacks in where the other one is strong, and then where the other one is strong, the other one lacks.
That's why so many times when you're watching Pirates, you're like, if only there was Makgopa, it would have worked out better. But then Makgopa comes and you're like, if only there was Mabasa, because you would fluff a chance. And that's why you'd be divided, because in different situations, they do things very, very, very differently. Because Mabasa won't down at first touch, but given the ball in the box, he'll score. And then Makgopa gets into the box and you're like, nah, man, that's not how a striker makes contact with the ball. How are you going to score? Or he doesn't have that confidence to take the chance on himself. And then he passes the ball. You're like, but you're the striker, dude. We're looking for you to give us the goals. So they're very, very, very on different ends of the spectrum, very different. But going to the second leg, Jay, I think when things are tight, because we're going to have to be a bit more cautious. I liked how Pyramids came to play as well, right? They were disciplined when it comes to defensive work, but they came to play. Hence, their 2 goals that were ruled out by offside. The Fiston Mayelo one, and you see them pouncing on mistakes as well. So they came to play, right? So you're thinking to yourself, because it's a conundrum, right? It's not that straightforward. When they're at home, they're going to play their football. They're not going to be as cagey or as disciplined. Or they don't need to be as disciplined as they were against Pirates at FNB, which plays into Pirates' hands, because if you give them an open game, that's where they also flourish. And so you think to yourself, if we're going to have openings and create chances, you want to give it to Mabasa. But if the game is going to be tight, and if we're going to play it like we did MC Algiers, like we did, who do you play before Algiers? But when we're playing games away, when we try to be defensively astute and we're closing shop at the back, we tend to go with Makgopa. So I think what we're trying to do, Jay, in this game, especially because of what we've seen in FNB, we're going to try to be sound. We're not going to try to chase the game unless the game requires us to do so. So I think for me, Makgopa is the one who's going to give us those options, because in a game where I think East Delhi's had, they've since proven to be better than that, but they were high-flying in the early part of the season, getting to the MTN8 final. They looked very dangerous, but Makgopa was still the guy that Rivero went with, So I think, Jay, when you look at that game that we won against Sundowns, when chances were that we were the underdogs in that game, Makgopa started, because that was going to be a tough game yet again. So in this one, Jay, I choose Makgopa.
I didn't expect that, Chuck.
Also because of work rate, Jay. Because there's a chance that was crossed by Uhoto. Makgopa, I think Makgopa would have slid in. I don't know if he would have made contact, but he would have read the situation much better, because it goes in line with hard work. Whereas Mabasa, I think, was like, dude, that pass is a bit too far. He didn't bother himself to slide in for that chance. So in a tight and cagey game, Jay, I think Makgopa. Look, I know you didn't expect that, because I tend to lean towards Mabasa, because he's the more talented striker in terms of finishing, but I've learned via Rivera that in the tight games, in the games that I think to myself, why don't we get a genuine striker? Makgopa somehow in some way has worked out.
I need my striker to score. I always need my striker to score. But it's nuanced, right? I'd go with Mabasa. Just because he's the better goal scorer. And in the same way that the first duty of defenders for me is to defend, like, okay, it's great that you're comfortable with the ball at your feet, you can play out, you can switch, but you can't defend. So your reliability and like you're a defender, like I need you to be able to do that. Same thing with strikers. Yes, if you are well rounded, all the better, right? But I need you to do your first estate at a level which is what you are paid to do. Like I need you to score goals if you're my striker, and that's why I'd go with Mabasa. And but I do say that it is nuanced because think about the Pirates win against Sundowns and the 2 goals scored by Urel. The reason Rele finds himself in those positions where he's able to score those goals is because Makgopa's playing. It's because Makgopa is out wide and he's taking on his man, leaving him for dead, and he's able to provide the assist, right, for Rele. And Rele is able to come and occupy that space. So Pirates play differently with either one of these players, and I really hear what you're saying. And judging on how Pirates have played towards the end of the season, where it is more defensive, or it's less
mob justice.
It's less mob justice than it has been. You know, that beautiful associative play in that final third, you're not seeing that all that much anymore. And if that is the game, you go with Makgopa, right? Because he can give you so much more in the overall game. Because where Mabasa shines is when Pirates are purring, where they are having those combinations in the wide areas or in the central areas where Dino is underlapping or overlapping and is adding bodies in that front line, or the same thing you have with Hoto, or where you have Utito as well, who looks a bit of color at the moment. But when those things were happening, when those things are happening with Pirates, and as I'm saying, when they're at their fluid best, what then tends to happen is we just need a guy in the box because we'll do the work, right? The other forwards and the midfielders, we will do the work and we'll shift through the gears and we'll pass through, play through the teams. And what then we need is what's going to happen is that we are going to put a ball into the box and we need a finisher to be there to score the goal. And in that instance, 10 out of 10 times, Mabasa is the guy you go with. And I want to see more of that from Pirates. I think the way that they're going to score a goal is if they have not even like 10 occasions or of that in the game, like 2 of them.
And you need someone clinical.
You just need someone clinical because you do need a goal, right? The way that Pyramids played, they came out to play against Pirates at FNB. I imagine they're just going to double down in that second leg, especially when you consider that in the quarterfinals, they scored 4 past their opponent, right? Yep. And that's the way they play. And the assumption on my end is that they're going to score a goal. And they scored 2 goals at FNB, but ruled offside. So one of those is not that at home, then you have to score as Orlando Pirates. And I feel that is something that's going to be required of Pirates. And just generally as well, I do favor Mabasa. But if what is going to happen is what we've seen, again, and the likelihood is that the evidence suggests that that's what we're going to see in the second leg and in the final in the Nedbank Cup and the remaining games in the PSL, that we're going to see the Pirates that is more defensively stout. And if that is going to happen, Makgopa is your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just imagining the conditions or how the game's going to play out. We're going to be defensive, and chances are when we play that kind of football, we don't, as you said, we don't create those chances. And you get to then see Mbata shoot from afar, Maswanga shoot from afar, Rele shoot from afar, and Nkota will always take a chance, right? And in those situations, Jay, then Mabasa's not in the game because he's never there facilitating for those kind of plays. But Makgopa, if there's no supply, he's fine because he'll go out and graft, whether he's dueling in the air, whether he's pressing, but he's fine playing that way. That's why to him, it was nothing to vacate that area that Fuking occupied against Sundowns because, well, the ball is there to be won. Whereas Mabasa's thinking to himself, I need to be in the box to receive it. But if you're playing a team that does not allow those balls to reach you, then you're a bit of a liability. And that is the argument, and that's the conversation. That what do you do? What's going to happen on the day? So predicting what's going to happen, I think that's one guy that if we choose Makgopa, he won't be out of the game if things don't go your way. But if the game is as open as Pyramids make it and we then decide to play as well, fight fire with fire, which is the football I like to watch, but I'm aware that maybe we won't go that direction, I'd still go with Makgopa.
I just can't help, Chuck, but recall the game away to Abidjan where Makgopa had an opportunity to shoot a goal and he decided to pass. And then on another occasion where he shot, it was nowhere near. In the most recent game that we watched in the Nedbank Cup semi-final when we were at the stadium,
Yeah.
There's a shot he took, and you're like,
Scuffed.
your striking ability as your ball striking as a striker and someone who's supposed to be a goal scorer is not what it should be. And as great, and I really do mean great, as he does everything else, that really turns me off in terms of watching a striker. It's like, that's my striker. Whereas I see Mabasa. He'll take a pass with his right foot and he'll finish with his left. He doesn't have to think twice about it. He's so clinical in that box. And yes, he's limited outside the box, right? But in my mind, the other players, that's their jobs, right? Like you do your jobs as the other forwards, as the wingers, as the midfielders, and I'll do my job. So that's the conundrum.
They take the pressure differently, because when Makgopa is outside the box, he thrives. He's happy to be
He really
pressing,
does.
happy to be playing the 1-2s. And I mean, if you think about that pass to Aureli, it was pinpoint, it was well weighted. That's because he doesn't have the pressure to be in that box and finish himself, which is what I think is going to happen in terms of, I don't think our strikers are going to be getting on the ball that often in the box. But if they do, I do agree with you that Mabasa is the better player.